bet you've never heard a scary story quite like this before. This is about a horrific friend of mine named Lilith. So, imagine Ima, your average vintage eBay seller, struggling to make ends meet. One day, she's cruising through a Goodwill in Cincinnati, probably dreaming about snagging a vintage Walkman or some classic board game to flip. But nope. What does she find? A doll. And not just any doll. This thing looks like it crawled straight out of someone's worst nightmare. We're talking freakishly huge blue eyes, a face stitched together, like it's desperately trying to smile, but just can't, and hair that's seen better days. So, this horror show is going for a whopping $3. Ima's like, this thing is ugly as hell, but hey, maybe it's worth something. So, she does what any savvy eBayer would do. She hops on her phone and checks the listings. And guess what? Dolls like this are selling for 6 figures. 6 figures. Ima's heart is doing backflips. She's like, this is it. I've struck gold. She heads to the counter, and the cashier, who looks like she's survived 3 straight days of bad customers, takes one look at the doll and recoils like Ima just slapped down a dead rat. She's all, why would you even want that thing? But Ima just smirks, knowing she's about to make bank. She gets home, throws that monstrosity up on eBay, and starts a 5-day auction. And wouldn't you know it, the bids start rolling in like crazy. By day 5, the price has reached a whopping $100,000 and is still climbing. Ima's already planning her trip to the Bahamas when she gets a message from some anonymous account. How long have you had the doll? Ima's like, about a week. And the mystery person hits her back with, check for white hair. She's confused, but curious, so she checks the doll. No white hair. She responds, the doll doesn't have white hair. And the next message, oh, it's a doozy. Not the doll. Check your hair. Ima rushes to the mirror, and bam, she's got white streaks in her hair. But that's not all. Her face looks like it's aged 10 years overnight. Wrinkles popping up in places she didn't even know could wrinkle. Panicking, she fires off another message. What's happening to me? The reply is straight up nightmare fuel. The doll is stealing your youth. It's feeding off you. And all those eBay bidders, they're witches trying to claim your youth through the doll. Ima's losing it now, full-on freak-out mode. She's like, what do I do? Then, the winning bidder hits her up. I'm coming to get my youth doll. And suddenly, her phone blows up. eBay messages from all those so-called buyers, aka witches, swarming in. Each claiming they're coming to her house with better offers. And just when you think it can't get worse, the doll's hair starts moving, like it's caught in a windstorm, except all the windows and doors are locked up tight. Then, she hears this creepy laughter outside, followed by a hard knock on her door. A voice calls out, I'm here. Her phone dings one last time with a message from that anonymous account. One word. Run. Buckle up, because things are about to get seriously twisted. If you thought Ima's story about her $3 doll was creepy before, it's about to go somewhere even darker. So picture this. Ima's sitting, her phone lights up with one single word. Run. Without hesitating, Ima bolts for the back door that leads to her building's basement. But just as she's about to grab the handle, she notices something. Lilith's hair. It's moving. Inside. No open windows. No breeze. And now her own hair starts to lift. like invisible fingers are running through it. Heart pounding, she forces herself forward. She's almost at the door when, bam, a figure materializes right in front of her. It's like something out of her worst nightmare. Glowing blue eyes, skin like cracked leather, draped in a cloak that looks ancient and decayed. And then it speaks, its voice like gravel being crushed.
I am Alamar. Give me Lilith.
Ima's breath catches in her throat. This isn't just a ghost. It's something far more ancient. And Ima knows by the way it's looking at her. This thing won't leave empty-handed. Before she can react, her phone rings. Trembling, she answers. The voice on the other end is sharp, urgent.
Do not move. That's Alamar. He's not just a ghost. He's a witch. If you give him what he wants, he'll never escape.
What do I do? Ima manages to whisper.
Tell him, I have refuge from the Supreme Seeress Elara.
Somehow, Ima finds the strength to speak. I have refuge from the Supreme Seeress Elara. Alamar's face contorts with terror. His eyes widen as he snarls, then vanishes into thin air. Before Ima can even catch her breath, the voice on the phone cuts back in.
Take Lilith and get out. Don't let go of her. Your life depends on it.
Ima grabs Lilith, her hands shaking, and bolts for the door. As she runs, she bombards the caller with questions. Who are you? Why are you helping me? Who is the Supreme Seeress Elara? But before she gets any answers, she feels the temperature plummet. Air turns icy cold, so cold she can see her breath. And then she feels it. Something dark, something sinister creeping closer. Out of the shadows steps another figure, even worse than Alamar. Its face is skeletal, skin barely clinging to bone, eyes like cracked, empty voids. It growls.
Lilith, I've waited 1,000 years for you.
Ima's heart feels like it's about to stop. But before she can give in to panic, the voice on the phone returns.
Don't breathe. Tell this one the same thing. I have refuge from the Supreme Seeress Elara.
Ima forces the words out, shaking as she speaks. The witch freezes, glaring at her with burning eyes, before hissing.
If Elara is protecting you, your days are numbered.
Holding her breath, Ima steps past the witch, barely able to keep from collapsing under its gaze. But just as she's almost clear, the witch smirks, its voice full of malice.
Your transformation is almost complete.
Terrified, Ima runs outside, panting. Her chest heaves as she skids to a stop by a window, and her reflection, it's not hers anymore. Her face, cracked, decayed, older, monstrous. She's not just aging, she's morphing into something unnatural. With trembling hands, she grabs her phone, her voice breaking. I look like a monster. On the other end, mysterious voice is calm but urgent.
Don't worry. I can help you get your youth back. But you have to hurry. Powerful witches are closing in on you.
Suddenly, a shadow shifts, and another figure emerges. This one's almost human in appearance, but somehow worse. Its eyes too sharp, its smile too wide. The voice that comes from it is unsettlingly smooth.
I need Lilith's power. Give her to me now.
The voice on the phone snaps. Ima, say the magic words now. It won't hurt you if you do. Ima's shaking, her fingers cold, her mind racing. She's ready to call on the Supreme Seeress Elara again, but something about the offer stops her. Her voice cracks. Why? Why do you want Lilith? Won't she steal your youth too? Or do you want to use her for something else? The witch before her chuckles.
No, Lilith doesn't just steal youth. The witches, we don't care about that. Lilith will give you power. She'll make you stronger than you ever imagined.
The voice on the phone hisses urgently.
Ima, Get rid of her now. The others are almost there.
But Ema stands firm. Confidence. She said, I'm protected by the Supreme Seeress Elara. The witch's smile widens, chilling to the bone. That's funny, the witch said, her voice a whisper of menace.
Because I am the Seeress Elara.
The phone line goes dead for a second before the voice on the phone comes back, filled with panic. Ema, one word, run. Part 3 of Lilith the Youth Doll delivers horror at its darkest and most disturbing. Ema was confronted with the Supreme Seeress Elara. Then she heard one word on her phone, run. But her body wouldn't move. Fear had her locked in place. Across the room, Elara watched with a chilling smile.
Too late for that,
She whispered.
Hand over Lilith now.
A voice came through the phone, frantic.
If you give her the doll, you'll be unalived.
Before Ema could even process it, Elara flicked her index finger, and the phone smashed against the wall. Suddenly, Ema was yanked off the floor, suspended in mid-air as Elara pointed at her.
Forfeit Lilith, or you'll wish you had,
She hissed, eyes narrowing. A flick of her hand sent Ema crashing into the wall, darkness swallowing her vision. When she regained consciousness, she was still floating. Elara stood calmly below, her voice icy. It's pity. I can't unalive you yet. Not before I get what I want. She raised her hand, ready to send Ema soaring into the ceiling when, out of nowhere, a shadowy figure appeared, catching Ema midair. The figure lowered Ema gently to the floor. A voice rasped from behind its twisted grin. Hello, Ema. It's me, the one who texted and called you. Ema's eyes widened in horror. The figure was skeletal, with hollow, glowing eyes and teeth jagged like broken glass. Its skin hung loose and wrinkled, wild hair framing a decayed, eerie face. Elara's expression faltered. Penelope? What in the world happened to you? Penelope sneered, holding up a doll that looked far worse than Lilith. Its cracked head and empty black eyes seemed to stare right through you. Its mouth was a wicked grin filled with sharp teeth. Elara's face turned pale.
No. Is that Inner Lilith? Where did you get it?
Penelope's grin widened.
Yes, it's mine now. And if I merge it with Lilith, I'll finally be strong enough to defeat you.
Elara's eyes darted from the doll to Penelope.
You idiot. Inner Lilith is very dangerous for all witches, not just me.
Penelope ignored her, turning to Ema.
Forfeit Lilith to me. Let me end this.
Ema, trembling on the floor, whispered, I don't want any part of this. Take Lilith and leave me alone. Penelope leaned closer, her grin widening. Just say it. I forfeit Lilith to you. But Ema hesitated. Won't that unalive me? Elara's voice cut in, seething with fury. You'll never get Lilith, Penelope. If I have to destroy Ema and Lilith together with you, so be it. Elara launched herself toward Ema, but Penelope was faster, blocking her path. Their magic crackled in the air, and the two witches collided in a furious battle. Sparks flew, the room shaking with each blow. Despite Penelope's power, Elara quickly gained the upper hand, forcing her to the ground. Penelope hit the floor hard, gasping for air, her body too weak to move. She glanced at Ema, her voice shaky but clear.
I'm sorry. I lied. I wasn't trying to help you. I just wanted to keep you away from the witches, so I could take Lilith for myself.
Elara started moving slowly toward Ema and Penelope, her eyes cold and scary.
It's over. You two have run out of time.
Ema whimpered. Please, I have had nothing to do with this. Please, leave me out of this. Elara scoffed.
It's too late for that. It's all over now.
But before Elara could make her last move, Penelope looked at Elara and said, Elara, meet the new Supreme Seeress. She turned to Ima, her voice fading. I forfeit Inner Lilith to you. Penelope collapsed, lifeless. Ima suddenly holding both dolls, Lilith and Inner Lilith, in her hands. Elara gasped in horror. No, no, no. In a blink, Ima disappeared. From the shadows, Ima's newly transformed figure emerged, her decayed skin peeling away to reveal something truly monstrous. Her eyes blazed with an eerie, unnatural glow, and sharp, jagged teeth gleamed beneath her twisted grin. Elara, eyes wide with fear, instinctively began to back away, ready to flee. But in a flash, Ima vanished, reappearing behind her in an instant. Leaning in close, she whispered chillingly into Elara's ear.
Now, it's your turn.